Well, welcome. Today we are going to have fun with moss and miniatures. So everything is just super fun today with moss and miniatures. We're going to find lots of different ways to decorate your home for spring with all of this moss decor. It all works so nicely together to play mix and match with all the different things. Two of the most important items that I'm going to be playing with today are this moss piano. I mean, is this not giving me Taylor Swift vibes? Like, this is amazing. So this moss piano I'm going to be using, and also this moss piece right here is going to be the base, and I'm going to be building like a centerpiece. So my masterpiece for today is going to be involving the piano and some of the little miniatures on that big floral piece I showed you at the beginning. So we'll talk about how to put this one together. But as we go today, I'm going to be showing you lots of different pieces that involve moss. So we have this moss high heel shoe, how adorable. And then you just put some different foam in here and stick whatever kind of floral you want to make that. And some of you may have seen the debut previously of my moss little baskety purse kind of situation, because in our wood burning class the other day, I made a little tag for my, and I also hid a couple of my wood burned Easter eggs in the little moss purse. So there's lots of fun to have with moss and of course the miniatures. So I'll be showing you lots of different things. I know the shopping list is pretty extensive, but the shopping list for today is to make this entire piece. You can kind of pick and choose. You don't have to use all the elements. But I do think your most fun element is going to be this piano. So even if you don't buy the whole background to do the whole entire centerpiece, I think you should really go ahead and grab this piano, grab some foam, grab some flowers, and I think that this in and of itself will be a really cute piece that you can put a lot of different places. So let's flip over to the other camera and I'll show you from a different angle some of the things that I'm working with. So this is the top-down view of what I was just showing you. But when I tilt this up, you can see some of the different elements that are on here. So we have our piano, we have a little stepping stones, we have a harp, we have some different moss. So all of these things are definitely on sale right now. So go to your Michaels, go to this aisle and just breathe in spring and all of these beautiful things to play with. I'm going to be using a lot of hot glue. I'm going to be using some floral foam, and I'm going to be using some flowers from the flower section. So I'm going to start with my piano and I'm going to show you this one. Oh no, it came in the mail broken. Well, I can show you that I'm about to break this piano on purpose. So even if it does get a little bit broken or we break it on purpose, a little hot glue is going to be like magic and you're going to have another one of these beautiful pianos very soon. So I'm going to be using one of these stems, and this particular stem is the one that is baby's breath. Several different colors of the baby's breath. I happen to pick white, but there is even a baby's breath that comes with pink, yellow, and blue, all in it together. So if you want lots of different choices, you can get a multi-pack of the little baby's breath. And then I'm also going to be using what they call a mini mum mix. So I love the different arrangement of lots of different choices of kind of floral elements in this. And again, it comes in lots of different colors. I got kind of a multi-pack of lots of purples, pinks, and greens, of course, but you can also find this just in pinks, just in blues, just in purples if you want to go for a particular look. The other thing I recommend it for today is just these little dry foam discs. We only need the dry foam because all of the floral that we're using is artificial. So we're going to use a little piece of this dry foam and we're going to cut it off and we're going to put it into the heart of the piano. Obviously, it would no longer be functional. But since the piano is made out of moss, I think we've already crossed that bridge. So don't worry about that. So let's go ahead. And as I said, I'm going to deconstruct the piano a little bit. The piano originally was $15, but like we said, everything is already on sale. So about 50% off of that, you can get this really cool piece. Its base is foam. So this metal or little wooden stick that's holding up the piano can easily be pulled out of the foam. So if your piano is not already open, you can open it. There's also a seam. The seam is kind of seamed along glue. So you can open the seam up to be able to kind of play inside. And then eventually we'll glue this back shut. If it comes all the way off, that's okay too, because we will kind of use some hot glue at the end to secure it. But go ahead and open up your grand piano. And then let's go ahead and take a look at the foam. And this foam circle is going to fit so perfectly into this space. So I'm just going to use one of them, but keep the other one, because if you want to get something like the little shoe I was showing you before, you can easily cut apart that extra foam to stick in so that you have some places to put some different flowers. So I just used a little bit more of that foam into the high heel shoe or into the purse. So if you want to play with other moss creations besides just the piano, you have some more foam to play with. So here I go. And I'm going to secure the foam to the piano. You can decide if you want to cut anything else down. But I honestly think the size it is going to work really well, and I'm going to be able to kind of put lots of pieces around it. It doesn't need to be that tall, so if anything, I might kind of take it down maybe just like a half of an inch. I'm using a box cutter, but I also suggested on the list some more professional foam tools, which will do a better job than the box cutter. But my box cutter could only go so far, so I still have this middle section to carve back out. Those foam cutting tools are able to go all the way through this, and they cut so much nicer than this box cutter. I just didn't happen to have those tools handy right now. So I just cut it down, so I think it's about an inch, and it's going to give me more room to be able to close the piano once it's done. And then I am going to go ahead and press it in, kind of make it where I want it to be, and then go back with some hot glue. So you can be using any of your mini hot glue guns or your large hot glue guns, whatever you have to work with will be just fine for this project. And plenty of glue sticks handy just in case. And now that I have this lovely base, I'm going to go through and I'm going to start adding some different floral elements. So we have our mini mum bush, and we have our baby's breath, and we're going to keep building from there. I'm going to try and take the piano from the big piece to be able to show you a little better as we go. So this is a guide, but we don't have to make it exactly the same. And you can see how there's some that kind of trail off and hang. So we can use some of the longer pieces in the mini mum mix in order to kind of give us some dangling parts coming down and kind of draping. And then we're just going to cut a lot of little tiny stems to be able to have a visual, a forward visual of all those flowers coming out of the piano. So I'm going to be using a wire cutter in order to cut, or some of these are just going to be that easy to pull off because they're already kind of broken into little sprigs. So you can kind of pull some of these pieces off, and if they're too long, we can cut them again. Let's see how these pink ones do. Oh, yep, I'm going to do a lot of popping. There's going to be a lot of popping off in this class, so get ready for that. Save some of these greens because these greens, again, are going to be really awesome to dangle. I'm going to pop off some of the different colors. I'm not popping directly at the flower. I'm popping with a little bit of the stem still remaining so that I have something to stick into the foam. But all of this is going to be for me to play with and fill up that space. And then I think I'm going to switch over in just a moment to my baby's breath and see how this one is. So with the baby's breath, when I pull these off, it looks like more of this is glued down. So I might be doing a little bit more cutting on these. And because this is mostly a wax, it's not as much wire. You don't probably need the big old wire cutters. Any kind of scissors will do okay for this particular cutting with the baby's breath. And I'm just going to kind of cut each one of these little pieces apart. So I have several to play with and work with. And I can cut more as we go. If you have questions, or if you have some, if you've already bought some moss and minis, but you're not quite sure what to do with the ones that you purchased, let me know in the chat and what you're working with, and we can maybe brainstorm some ideas. So I love having these live classes because it gives me an opportunity to talk with you all, even if just through chat, so we can kind of work together and really create some beautiful things. I like asking for your opinions on colors and placement, so it's fun to kind of do it as a crowd. All right, I have some good pieces to start working with. So I'm going to see how well they stick into the foam. And it doesn't take much to be able to kind of pop those in. So you can see that this one's very tall. So if I wanted to make this closer to the foam, I'm definitely going to need to cut down, or I can pop off just the floral tip and just have some of those. So we do want the piano to be able to close. So you're going to need to kind of have some of them shorter for sure, especially over on this side where the piano is attaching. So it looks like popping off some of those, just the tip of the floral piece is going to be helpful. And I, of course, have some of my baby's breath. And I'm just going to keep filling some space and see what we start to come up with. I love this piano. I think it's so cool. Such a good idea. This one I just placed is going to kind of come out, which I like that. And then I definitely am using the tops of them without any stem at all, just for coverage. So I'm going to kind of work on covering a lot of the green space with just the flowers themselves. And then I'll probably go back and pop out some of the longer flowers so that I have a little bit of variation. But right now it's almost like cake decorating, where I'm just taking the blooms and sticking them into this foam and trying to give myself as much coverage as I can. And then I'll worry a little bit more about color and variation and all those other important design elements. So the question in the chat says, do we glue the foam piece, or is that later? You can do it either way. You can work with your foam piece and not have anything to do with the piano right now and just be working on your foam piece. But I did go ahead and already glue my foam piece into my piano. So I know exactly where it's going to go, and I'm not going to have to worry about what folds over later on because I already can kind of figure that part out. So you are welcome to wait and glue it later. But I did already go ahead and glue mine down, and I feel pretty good about that. And if you find that the baby's breath, it is pretty delicate and the stem is not wire, it's a lot more like wax or like plastic. So if that's too hard for you to push into the foam because there's not really much hold to it, you can always glue those pieces too. So you can wait with the baby's breath and you can glue those in or glue those on later on if you can't actually stick them into the foam. But I'm having some success with just holding pretty close to the end as I am pushing them down into that foam. And I'm going to need the more floral. And I'm going to pop off some more of these stems. And I'm going to use some green to fill up some more space too. So back to the mini mum, I have some cool pieces of almost like fern. So I'm going to take a piece of this fern and really kind of let it go all the way across. Maybe I'll cut this in two in order for me to have some good coverage across the top of the piano. Because I think I only put one set of mini mums on the shopping list. So if I'm starting to run out of the mini mums, then I can go ahead and use some of my greenery to make more of the coverage, which is what I'm doing right now. And maybe have another one going this way. And that's going to help with some of that. I also have some moss because of course this is fun with moss and miniatures. So the moss that I picked up is reindeer moss that comes in some different pinks. There are also different colors of this that come in greens and other things too. So at any point, I can pick any of the colors of this moss and use that for coverage as well. So if I feel like I'm starting to need to spread my flowers a little further, I can stick some more of this reindeer moss to give us some color without having to use all of the floral. And of course, we still have plenty of baby's breath left. And I don't know what these are called. If anyone happens to know, I'm not sure what you would call these. They're on the stem with the mini mums, but I don't know what this particular flower. I don't know. If you happen to know, I would love to know. I'm going to keep going and keep building. And feel free to kind of take any of the pieces and bend them in the direction you want. Just use a little hot glue. So if I wanted this to come down and cover some space, I'm going to put a little dot of hot glue down here onto the foam and just hold it for a moment and let it kind of glue itself. And try not to burn myself, you know how that goes. Just hold it in order to kind of cover more of the side. And I already like the way that this is looking. Very fun. We have all of this greenery too to work with that I popped the stems off of. So I can come back and stick some of the greenery in. And it kind of pops out in a different way. I remember that the widest part of my opening is over here. So I'm going to give more coverage or more different layers and different levels coming out over here. Do some more coverage back here. Kind of checking it out every once in a while to see how I'm doing, see what I like. And I can always put some more reindeer moss if I want to cover more of that on the back. But so far, so good. So if anyone ends up making any fun moss or miniature pieces today, or really any day in the future, if you want to watch this video again on YouTube after you've gone shopping and found all your fun moss and miniature pieces, you can always come back. But please, if you make a project, we'd love to see it. So you can tag us at Learn with Michaels on Instagram, and we can share with everybody your beautiful creation. There's so many different ways that you can play with these and really make them your own. And I still have so much to play with. I have some of these very big leaves I haven't really used at all yet. I kind of like the different size element of having one of these. Let's see where we want to put it. Maybe off to the side back here, probably a little lower. It is a pretty big leaf compared to how mini all of the other minis are. There we go. Like that. More pink. And I like this greenery that I popped the top off of the flowers, and now I have this fun little, it almost looks evergreen, but I know it's not. Oops. And then I have some more of these fern-like pieces. So I'm just kind of pulling these off of my stem. And then I'm going to cut these two fern pieces apart. And these are very dramatic. So I want this to kind of dangle and definitely pop out. Very dramatic. Love that. And you can tell that I'm working on some white paper especially while you're working right now, you are going to get some moss that comes off. So don't work directly on your finished surface. Work on a piece of paper, piece of newspaper, so that you can easily just roll that up and throw it away when you're finished. And then you can kind of stop some of the shedding of the moss with a little trick with hairspray. So you can try using a little bit of hairspray as almost like an adhesive, kind of keeping some of the moss further on the piano so that no more of it sheds off. And there are some other spray adhesives that you could use as well that don't necessarily remain sticky. And I have a little bit more to do on the back, and then I think we're almost done with the piano piece, which is the main focal point of our miniature musical garden. So we have people at Michael's who make a lot of different projects. And so we have several different projects that have already been made for you, and the shopping list has already been created, like this one that we're working on today. So if you would like to make this butterfly cloche, so these cloches are also available right now for spring. So pretty. Mine's a little bit dusty on purpose so that the camera doesn't reflect crazy, but you can open these up and it's fun to kind of lay out the minis in a scene. So in this particular miniature scene, I have a really cute unicorn all sitting on some green reindeer moss. I have a little fairy with a harp, and then I have these pics that have some butterflies coming out. So it's kind of like a surreal, the fact that the butterflies are so big. She's living in a very magical land, obviously. And then you can just put the cloche back on and have this sitting on your table. And it's just pretty. It's pretty year round. It's pretty in a little girl's room. It's just pretty. So all of these, the project, Felicia just dropped into the chat. So you can search on the michaels.com project page, and it's called the Whimsical Fairy Cloche. We also have several other that are on the projects page right now. So the high heel shoe, the moss shoe I keep showing you, and the basket are also there. And then I want to show you this one too while I'm taking a second, because I think this is absolutely adorable. This is like a wall hanging, or you could hang it onto a door. So this is actually a wire wreath that's being sold in the spring section, and it comes with these succulents. So it's just a wire wreath with succulents at the bottom. It looks very unassuming in the stores, but we added this piece of moss behind it. So we sewed this moss onto this wire frame, and we're able to create this whole scene and then add all these little mushroom miniatures. There's a little bird sitting on a bench. There's some fuzzy mossy mushrooms, a little, what would you call this? A little fairy, what would you call that? Where little gnomes live, maybe? A gnome house? I don't know. Tell me in the chat what you would call this, because I think that's funny. So lots of beautiful things for you to play with in the land of minis too. So just thinking way outside the box and taking this wire succulent wreath and turning it into the scene is also going to be really fun. All right, back to what I was working on. I'm going to finish up this piano. And I have a nice little sweeper right next to me to catch any pieces so I don't make a huge mess. It's been known to happen before in this room, that's for sure. I have some more work to do on the back of this, and then I think we're just about done. So someone said they got that moss wreath to decorate, and that's going to be fun to decorate because it's really, really pretty. There's also one, I think you call it, I want to call it rattan, but I could be wrong, where it's like this woven wood kind of thing. And then from here, you can build on out and add fairy gardens and things to this. And then you can use it again on a door or as a wall hanging. So all of those are fun options. We have lots of designs already kind of planned out for you. So if you want to kind of follow a little bit of a formula and a plan, go to that project page and find all these beautiful projects that were designed at Michael's. And then you can kind of copy them and repeat them and make them your own. or just go in the aisle and find all the miniatures that you love the best and see what you can do with your miniatures. So everybody's can look so different, and that's the fun of it for sure. Okay, finishing touches here. Feeling pretty good about this. So I'm going to go ahead and close my piano back up and then see if I want to store anything else in there. I've already kind of unseen this with the glue since I've been opening and closing it. So I am going to go ahead and line this back up and use some of my hot glue in order to put that side of the piano in its place. And I'll hold it there for a bit. Maybe. There we go. And this green piece is going to need to move. Have that dramatically coming out over here on this side. I like that. And I'm also going to go ahead and glue the wooden stick back down as well. And maybe just so I can close it a little better, and might shave a little bit more of this foam off real quick. Here we go. Giving myself a little bit more space to kind of close it at a different angle. There we go. And some glue over here too to hold the wooden hole. And we have this really fun floral piano happening. Feel free to add more if you'd like. You can also add butterflies or other accessories to this. And I need a little bit more glue on the other side as well. Put this portion together. There we go. So tomorrow, you might have seen Felicia put into the chat, I'm going to be teaching an art journaling class, which is one of my favorites. And we will be doing some watercolor tomorrow. So watercolor is a great craft or hobby to get involved in because it's not a lot of setup. It's not a lot of cleanup. It's pretty compact and pretty easy to learn. And especially because we're going to be doing it as an art journaling class, it's really just a good, relaxing time for you to take some time for yourself. Focus on yourself, do something that you enjoy, and maybe make a couple of messages for yourself through that class. So please join us for that tomorrow if you're available. Or you can always go back to the Michael's YouTube channel and check out those videos once they're posted. So here is our floral piano so far. Now I want to show you something super, super adorable. We have mini cats and dogs. We have cats. We have butterflies, we have dogs. Look at how stinking cute these are. So I'm actually going to take a cat out, and I'm going to have one of these mini cats kind of resting on the piano. I mean, having this cute little kitten right there. Yes. Yes, please. So just a little bit of hot glue for that as well. So those are extra little touches that, depending on what you love, you can add some of those little items that just make it yours. Let's see, what else do we want to add? I think I want to add a butterfly. So these butterflies are nice too, and these are kind of like little clay pieces. So I'm going to take one of these butterflies, and I'm going to kind of perch it on the top of the piano. Just to give me that little something else to look at. And now I'm going to move into my big floral piece. So the way that this floral piece comes, it already has all of this attached to this. So this is called a decorative moss piece. I think, if I remember right, it's about 16 inches. And there is a hanger. So there is a little spot that you could potentially make everything so that it can hang on a wall or on a door. So feel free to build it like how the little miniature mushroom garden is built. You can build it similar to this one, where you have everything kind of hanging down here so that when you put it against a wall, it still stays nice and secure. But we're going to be using this and we're going to be building up because ours is going to be a centerpiece. It's not meant to hang on a wall, the one that I'm working on right now. So I'm going to cut off this tag and we have plenty of space that's already nicely covered with some green. And we're going to find a lovely home for our piano. And I don't care about where the top is because this is a round piece and because this is a centerpiece, not a wall hanging. So I'm probably going to keep all of the fern towards the top, and I'm going to keep some of these other pieces kind of towards the bottom. And then I'll find a home that I like the best for my piano and kind of situate where I want to put that piece and let this be the focal piece that it is, because it's really beautiful. So when you find a home for it, and you can wait, but when you find a home for it that you love, feel free to glue it down. I'm not going to glue mine down quite yet because I want to kind of play along with some of the other miniatures I have to see what else I want to do before I glue it down. So I also put on the shopping list for today this really nice, beautiful harp, just to kind of give this a whole musical garden vibe. Along with that harp, let's see what other fun things I have to play with. These are just funny, but I have some snails and some carrots and like a little bee. I have some more butterflies. These don't go in the scene, but these are just really cute. You can make a whole different scene with just these little bunnies and their carrots. And there are also some little yellow chicks that are really stinking adorable. So this bench is another mini that we sell. So I'm going to have this bench and I'm going to kind of situate it. It's a little bit off scale for the piano, but I am going to set it to the side on my scene. And I'm going to put some other items onto this bench. So I'm going to gather some more of those little kittens and different things. So I have two more little cute cats I'm going to put onto this bench because the cats have gathered in this magical land to listen to all the music and enjoy the scenery that we are creating for them. So I'm putting a little dab of hot glue on here for this guy who's standing on the little bench. That's so cute. And then I have this other one who's going to be sitting over here on this little pile of moss. So I'll put him a little glue pile. There we go. And so I have these two cats sitting on the bench. And I can put the bench off to the side. Maybe it will go over here. Actually, I like that placement right here. I'm going to take my harp out of the packaging and I'm going to try and balance that bench with the harp. Here's the harp. Maybe the harp is going to go on this little puff over here. And I'll tilt this around in a little bit to be able to show you since you're looking at it straight down right now. So let me go ahead and glue these pieces. I do think this is where I want the piano to be. So I do want to secure the piano before I keep moving all of this around so that when I show you from different angles, my pieces aren't going to all fall off. And I'm using a generous amount of hot glue to kind of pool or make a little bit of a puddle for it to sit in so that when it hardens, there's enough things to stick it to. There's enough surface area to stick to get a good hold. And then I do like the placement right here of this little bench. So I'm going to go ahead and push down to kind of see where it makes the most sense. And then I'm going to put my hot glue onto the legs of my bench. And go ahead and push that down. And I have my kitty sitting on this adorable bench. And then I'm going to find the home for the harp, which I think is going to be right over here. It's hard because this is a little poofy. So I think what I'm going to do is cut into this little poof because I want the harp. I don't want the harp to attach to the poof because then it's going to be pretty wobbly. So I actually want to pop the poof. This is a strange class I'm teaching right now, huh? I'm going to cut open this poof so that I can get closer to the actual base to glue the harp down. And then some of this moss that I'm cutting can go around the harp. So I kind of cut that poof open, and I cut that poof open in order to get more towards the base to make that more secure. And then I can put that mossy poof around the harp. I mean, why not? Why not? There we go. Need more glue. And next I'm going to be kind of decorating this green space with my reindeer moss. And I have my reindeer moss in lots of different beautiful pinks that I'm going to be playing with. Here's the harp. Nice. And here's what we have so far. I have some beautiful colors with my rainbow reindeer moss. So I'm going to use all three of those colors. So I'm going to go ahead and open this bag all the way up. And I'm going to make a couple of little trails. So maybe this one's going to start with this dark purple. And it's kind of like the little walkway to get up to where you would stand or sit for the piano. So I'll have this little moss path. And then maybe I'll take one of the other mossy colors and kind of direct the kitty cats to their spot. This is where you guys can sit. Follow the trail. I do end up just having so much fun with these miniatures. It's fun. You just play with them. It's literally playing with them. Looks like we need something exciting to happen over here. So I'm going to take a little bit more moss. And I'm going to start pushing it in this direction. And if you were able to get the stepping stones are another one of the miniature pieces. They're already together. So they come in this one piece, and you can use them to kind of move towards, maybe I'll use the stepping stones to get to the piano. I kind of like the way that looks. And when I decide where I want the stepping stones, I can go ahead and glue those down. And I can add some more of the pink moss over here. And I feel like we need a little bit more attention back here. So you can take any of these spaces and make them into some fun little vignettes and have your own mini scenes within your miniature. And right now I'm just placing the reindeer moss, but I can eventually start gluing this down just to make sure that it's going to stay where I want it to stay. And if you do have a couple of butterflies, I think this would be a lovely place for the butterfly right here. Well, let me show you what's going on now. We have our stepping stone leading towards the piano. We have our cute bench with the kitties. Then we have another vignette over here that's kind of featuring this little butterfly. I'm going to do a little bit of gluing. Taking some moss and just backing it down for some extra security. Especially if you're going to glue other miniatures or other pieces, you definitely want this to be secured to the main base so that your miniature pieces aren't flopping around. And I'm going to add this butterfly and kind of prop that butterfly up towards all of that movement where I just had my moss and I have these lovely ferns kind of framing that butterfly. So that looks really pretty. And I haven't secured my stairs yet, so I'm going to go ahead and secure these stairs as well. And they already come like this. The stepping stones already come glued together. So you don't have to, but if you don't have the stepping stones, you could potentially find your own stones and kind of lead those together. You can also get stones and decorative filler at Michael's that you can kind of scatter around and add to the ambiance of this beautiful floral scene we have. Now I have all kinds of little guys. I have some snails. So maybe over here in this vignette off to the side, I'm going to have some of my bumblebees, worms, and snails hanging out. Or if you love mushrooms, you can of course always add mushrooms to anything too. These could be cute over here in this little garden area with these foam mushrooms. Or if you want to start adding a character, you can add a gnome, but I kind of like it without a character today because it's kind of giving me a different vibe. There is this adorable hedgehog that has a little flower. So if he wanted to live in this space, he could too. Here's the bumblebee, the worm, and the snail. I'm gonna find homes for them over here. I know they're teeny tiny. I'm gonna take some good pictures and I'll be posting pictures of my finished project on my own personal Instagram, which is the number 4M Coleman. So if you want to check out some more of those up close and personal shots so that you can see some of these teeny details that I'm adding, I would love for you to check it out there. And don't forget that if you make something, we want to see what you're making. So tag us at Learn with Michaels so that you can share with everybody. I think I'm going to put the worm over here. There we go. Pull this up a little closer for you to see. The little snail, the bumblebee. You can see some of my hot glue trails. Take those out. Then I have the little worm sitting over here. As I turn this around, you can see our harp. You can see our stepping stone. You can see our beautiful piano. You can see the cat sitting area. And a butterfly. So this looks great to me. Feel free to keep adding, but I think I'm at a good stopping point with this one. So if you have questions on the fairy garden that I just created, let me know in the chat. And then I'm just going to take a couple more minutes of your time and show you some other options of things to play with. But this is our finished project. Very beautiful. I'll bring it back at the very end and show you again from the other camera angle. And like I said, I will be posting these on 4M Coleman. So let me show you a couple of other things. We have adorable, this lights up. I do have batteries. Oh my God. How cute is this? So similar to what we just did, if you want to make your own scene, another option besides the round piece that I showed you at the very beginning is we also have moss mats and moss squares. So picture yourself making a diorama in a shoebox. So you can have a shoebox covered with this moss on all the different walls, and then you can have this cute little mushroom house. And then maybe you do go ahead and take the little guy who might potentially live in this house. And you can add the little hedgehog because maybe the hedgehog is its best friend, or maybe the hedgehog is living in this house. Let's face it, it could be any of those things. Or if you want to play with some of the other specific to Easter miniatures of like bunnies and little chicks, there are lots of fun things you can do with this. Also, don't be afraid to go down the aisle where the flowers are because a lot of times there are what we call picks. So a pick is something like this bunny that's on a stick. And it's on a stick so that you can quickly turn it into, put it into a floral arrangement. But you know what? You can take these sticks back out and then look, I have a little bunny that could live in a house, or it could live on this moss. This bunny could be playing the piano. And also along those lines, there are picks that look like this, where they have velvet mushrooms at the top. So again, you can just take these sticks out, and now these are miniature pieces for you to play with that you can start making different scenes. You can add any of these things into the cloche. So instead of having the unicorn and having the little girl with the harp, you could have a mushroom scene, you could have a bunny scene, you could have a chick scene. There's lots of different things to do. So yeah, all of these are going to be fun and easy to do. Also along the lines of picks, take a look at this one. It has all this fun little greenery. And then you can take these carrots off. And if I wanted to make a scene of like a carrot garden, and maybe have the bunny hanging out at the carrot garden or something like that, you can make this, you can pop them up 3D and make them almost like trees, kind of like a little carrot forest. Just be really crazy and fun with what you make up. Here's another little moss pick that has a bunny. So again, you can take that stick off and then you can use that bunny. This one's pretty secure. I'm going to be careful with this one. Umbrella picks are cute as well. Yes, there were some. I don't think I have any of the ones that I know you're talking about, but there are some adorable picks. This one has peas. I mean, that's cute. And this one is a little baby bunny. So you could have a mom and a baby bunny hanging out in a carrot garden. I mean, honestly, this is like playing with dolls for adults. Like, I love miniatures. I think they're so much fun to play with. There are macaroons that come on these little picks. There are some painted Easter eggs, almost look like those really delicious robin's eggs. That makes me hungry all of a sudden. But you can pull all of these apart and enjoy your second childhood of just playing around with all of these fun picks and all these fun miniatures and creating your own little scenes. And then you don't have to be the only one to enjoy them. Go ahead and put them on a table and call it a centerpiece, and you have had fun. You've enjoyed yourself making your little miniature scenes, and then other people can enjoy them as well at the table. So I think I am just about done for the day. Let me show you this piece one last time. So if we switch over to the other camera. So this is our final piece, and I'm going to kind of tilt it around for you to see from a couple different angles. We have our stepping stones, we have our piano, we have our butterfly, we have our cats, we have our snails, we have our bumblebee, and so many beautiful things to look at. So this has been a great fun with moss and miniatures class. I really did have fun, so the title was correct. I hope that you had fun too, and I hope that you join us again. As Felicia mentioned, tomorrow I'll be teaching an art journaling watercolor class. So the watercolor portion is pretty easy to pick up on. It's pretty easy to learn. And then I'm going to show you how you can turn some of those into some different journaling pieces. So really beautiful things. So come back and join us again tomorrow, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye, everyone.